This is TNA, the new face of professional wrestling.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Feast or Fired podcast. I'm here with my wife, Mel.
Hello.
And we're here to cover the... Just 1 second. We are here to cover the December 11th, 2002 episode of TNA pay-per-view. Correct? Alrighty. Just adjust yours a little bit more. Back up to... Alright. Today we start off with action. We get Jason Cross versus Tony Mamaluke. First time seeing Jason Cross, though they didn't mention that apparently he's been showing up on Explosion, which I guess is their syndicated program at this point in time. We are not watching Explosion. Partly because it's just, I think it's just extra wrestling and it doesn't really follow any stories. I also just don't know if this era of Explosion is available on the TNA streaming service. Something I guess we'll have to find out later on. All right. As I've noted, this is a pretty standard X opening for an X Division bout. A lot of back and forth, high-flying stuff. Their match is kept at the same pace, same momentum, a lot of back and forth. There's no clear advantage for either side. Second. I need to attempt to see better.
Well, you need to see.
Mamaluke does do a drop kick to back Cross's leg at one point. Cross selling that leg for the remainder of the match. The finish of the match comes when Cross went for his finisher, which is a shooting star leg drop off the top rope, but Mamaluke stops that by knocking the ref into the ropes. Cross fights off Mamaluke. Does what I can only call a front flip unprettier from the turnbuckle onto Mamaluke. He then does actually hit his shooting star leg drop, but because of the damage to his leg earlier, he's not able to capitalize and put on the pin. This lets Mamaluke get back up and put Cross into the Sicilian Crab, stretching the injured leg and causing him to tap out, giving Mamaluke possibly his first victory in all of TNA. After this, there is an interruption. BG James shows up at the announce table and tells them to watch a guitar and protect it with their lives. Because if they don't, who is going to protect them? This is towards Don West and Mike Tenay. I guess apparently Russo is saying that basically Jarrett's going to need the guitar later to win his match against Kurt Hennig. James then commands the Harris brothers to attack Mamaluke and Cross, which they do. Russo apparently isn't here, though, at least at the moment, because he's recruiting more members of Sports Entertainment Xtreme. Claims Russo is basically, BG James basically claims Russo is what made DX so big and powerful. At this point, Bob Armstrong interrupts. Bob asks him why what went wrong to make him go down this road, and James responds saying that this is the road that brought him success. Which is fair enough, considering he gave Russo props for DX. Bob asks Truth to come out, who's wearing chains and carrying a chair. And he books a match for later. That is a chains and chair match, which is going to have both of them chained together with a chair in the center of that chain. It's just the chain is through the chair legs so that it hangs on the chain. It's silly. He also says that the New Church and the Harris twins are busy later tonight, and Ron just doesn't care as long as it's a title match, which it is. This breaks down into a brawl, the Church coming out to join Truth to fight off Sports Entertainment Xtreme, and after this, things get broken up and order is restored.
Order.
We get Goldilocks with Jorge Estrada in the back. Jorge's pompadour is looking very sad now. I don't know if he cut his hair or if it's just so wet that it's sad. Looks smaller. Talks about how Siaki burnt his uniform, how Yang is too busy in Japan to return his calls, and how Priscilla left him for Brian Lawler. Things are just not looking good for Jorge Estrada. It seems like he might be giving up on the Elvis gimmick entirely. Moving to match number 2. Jorge Estrada versus Kid Cash. He is still in his Elvis getup coming out. But as I said before, his hair isn't as amazing as it used to be. Which is sad, which makes me sad. This story of this basically is coming down to these are two guys that both really need a win to move up in the X division. Both kind of feeling at the bottom of the card right now. The majority of the match, though, feels kind of like the last one. Pretty even showing from both guys. Cash gets the win off a brainbuster move called the Money Drop and just seems to storm off like he's not happy with the victory. I do feel like this was mostly to set up Estrada taking on a new direction after the loss. How did you feel?
A little sad. I really don't have much else. Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because I do like the Flying Elvis gimmick, but what can you do? Yeah, he's the only one at this point, and it was kind of a tag team thing. Goldilocks tries to get Bob Armstrong's attention, but he's on the phone with Scott running interference. And Scott says he's going to go talk to his brother, and the rest gets cut off because she tried to ask Bob a question, and we didn't get to hear any of it. Match number 3, America's Most Wanted versus Divine Storm. Beginning of the match, Harris is using his size to show up Divine, daring him to knock him down, and the Divine tries and fails. When we get James Storm versus Quiet Storm, the showing is a little bit better from Quiet Storm as opposed to Chris Divine. But James manages to get control, throws Quiet out, throws Quiet out of the ring, drops Divine on him. Then Harris and Storm each take turns diving out into them. And then Trinity dives out and takes out Harris and Divine. I didn't know at this point, though, when Quiet Storm was in the ring with Harris, that because of his build and how much shorter he is, Quiet Storm almost looks like he is another one of the midgets, but just like barely not there. And now I can't unsee it because he looks so odd.
I saw it too.
It's because of his build. I just don't get it. Like he needs to get more definition, I think, to his body. And that would probably get rid of that look. But I mean, his work's fine, so I can't knock him for it. It's just something I can't unsee now. Majority of this match is just AMW just has too much synergy for Divine Storm to really overcome. So they can't gain control. So Divine Storm really can't gain control of the match. They're set up for the death sentence, but a low blow by Trinity. The ref distracted by Quiet and Storm temporarily, and that gives Chris Divine a chance to roll up. I think he rolled up James Storm and got the win. But they did not earn it because obviously they had to cheat to win.
Yeah, I'm getting so sick.
You get used to that sort of thing. We go outside of the arena. Scott is trying to get through to BG James, and James just won't hear it, and that was basically the gist of it. Match number 4, AJ Styles versus Amazing Red. I know that heel Styles always looks like a dork to me, at least in this time period. Yeah, the cocky AJ Styles comes off way too goofy. Almost. It'd be probably better if his cockiness was more like Siaki's.
Yeah.
Whereas, I don't know, Siaki might actually work better the way Styles does. Almost like the two should switch their attitudes, how they handle being cocky. But maybe that's just my opinion. I did notice that when Red's coming out to the ring, he has like some sort of red jumpsuit over his ring gear that he has to peel himself out of before getting in the ring. I thought that was weird, almost like he wasn't prepared for the match quite yet.
I know. I thought that too. I thought I said something.
Red is really taking it to Styles' match, showing that he's not happy about being taken out of the four-man double elimination bout the week before. AJ has a hard time getting any offense in until Styles goes to the outside of the ring, and that's when things turn around. After a crash and burn, Styles is in complete control, choosing to slow down the match to a more methodical approach so Red can't fight with his style. A Styles Clash attempt is blocked by grabbing the corner rope. I think this is a cool moment in the match. Red gets put up on the top and fights off Styles. After a spinning DDT fails and Styles turns it into a suplex. And I thought that was a really cool little back and forth we had there. There's also a reversal from Styles that sends Red sliding into Plumtree, who tries to grab at him, but instead he gets head scissors for his efforts. But this does let Styles get in another attack. Styles sets up the steps on the outside, and after a quick back and forth, leads to Red being dropped on it. There's some fighting later. The finish comes. Fighting in the corner, both standing on the top rope. Finally, Red finally gets control, hits a head scissors takeover, flinging Styles way into the air and having him landing on the mat. It's just amazing move. And because of this, Red gets the pin and the win, showing that he's had the heart to hold on until he managed to get in a move that stuns Styles enough to get the victory.
Yay, Red!
So it basically, it just heart overcoming brawn, I guess. I don't know how to put it. Red really didn't look like the story basically being the Red only won because he fought hard enough to get a chance to win. And I guess the motivation being, from the week before, which is fine. Match number 5, tag title contest, New Church versus the Harris Twins. Ron and Dunn come out of the crowd and jump the church. Styles is on commentary through most of this match, just suggesting Red cheated and complaining about his loss. It was very distracting.
Mentioned something about Red tapping out.
Maybe. I don't remember. I noticed in the ring, Brian Lee was using Slash as a weapon against the Harris Twins. I noted that was really in character for the church. They start brawling. They move out to the crowd. James Mitchell shows up. Wait. BG James. Okay. I need to stop writing James. Because there's James Storm, BG James. There's another. I feel like there's another one. James Mitchell. There's 3 Jameses in this fucking company.
Sorry?
I know BG's is its last name, but I need to stop writing James. I need to be more specific. I need to write James Storm, BG James, James Mitchell.
You could always just come up with nicknames.
BG James shows up to nail Slash to the chair, giving the Harris Twins the victory and handing them the belts. At this point, we think the Harris Twins are the new tag team champions, but Percy Pringle / Paul Bearer shows up and complaining about what happened, saying that BG James come out, hit him with a chair and interference, and that BG James went under the ring to hide. Eventually, James does get caught. This pays off with the ref reversing the decision and giving the win back to the New Church. So we don't have new champs today. Disciples of the New Church, still the tag team champions. James Mitchell gets in the ring and says, basically, Percy Pringle has nothing to do with them, has no business doing anything to the Harris twins either, using this basically to turn the ire of the reversals onto Percy Pringle. The Harris twins do try to go after him, but AMW comes out with chairs to prevent the attack, and also going after the New Church, but they fail to get their hands on him this time.
Bum, bum, bum.
New Church kind of weaseled their way out of a bunch of shit this today.
True.
Get a sit-down interview with Siaki. He says he feels the old guys need to get out of the way, and tonight he's going to win the belt. Match number 6, X Division title match. Sonny Siaki versus Jerry Lynn. This is basically a tiebreaker between the two, each having one victory over the other. Siaki struggles early to get in offense against Lynn, the veteran keeping control of him. For most of the match, Lynn is one step ahead, even on the outside. For instance, he's on the outside, beckons Siaki to come join him. Siaki slides out, and Lynn slides back in, and then takes advantage of Siaki trying to come back in to get in more offense. Throughout all this, Siaki is struggling to get some separation between him and Lynn to recover. Every time he gets a little, he's just recovering, doesn't really get any momentum. Does finally get a little bit of a comeback when he does when he drops Lynn across the top rope, but this doesn't last very long. Again, Siaki is forced to use a low blow to try to get some momentum back from himself, but even this doesn't manage to last long. After a ref bump, shortly before Lynn manages to get in the cradle pile driver, preventing the win that he would have had here. Then, Lynn goes for the top rope, and some random woman we have never seen before, as far as I am aware, comes and prevents him from jumping off, knocks him off the thing. Siaki hits his finisher, gets the victory, and is the new X Division champion. So, no one comes out to argue this, so we have a new X champion in Sonny Siaki. It's something different.
I don't like egomaniac.
Well, we'll see where this goes. Match number 7, we are Chairs and Chains match between between the Truth and BG James.
You're really trying to archery.
Well, that's what he's called. It's what he's been called for in the past 13 years in WWE. I took note at this point that all members of Sports Entertainment Xtreme seem to come through the crowd with no music. BG starts arguing with the ref about putting on the chain. Truth takes this moment to launch himself off the chair and attack James, knocking him down and allowing the ref to put the chain on BG. BG gets in some early shots of the chain in the corner, fiddling with the chair. While he's fiddling with the chair, trying to figure out how it's wrapped up in the chain, Ron does his little sitting down, grabbing the top ropes, and then rolling himself up into the corner to do a drop kick off of that and knock the chair into BG. He hits the axe kick on top of the chair, getting a near fall, but doesn't win quite yet. BG turns it around, moving out of the way of a moonsault, letting Truth land on the chair itself. Eventually, at some point, both men lose the chain, which feels kind of silly. At this point, neither in the chain anymore. A bit of fighting over the top, a bit of fighting each other over top the chair. Truth drops James on it face first for the victory. After the match, Truth looks like he wants to punish James more. BG. He lays the weapons on him, the chain and the chair, and it looks like he's going to go do a splash, but our Bob Armstrong stops him. While he's talking to Truth, BG gets back up, tries to blindside Truth to the chair, but manages to strike his father instead. Though the commentary teams make it sound like he hit both of them. I didn't remember seeing it hit Truth, but whatever. Okay, whatever. He sold it like he did. And then BG walks off looking kind of ashamed of himself for striking his father. I don't know how to feel about that at the moment, but we'll see. Right?
Yep.
Get a sit-down interview with Jeff Jarrett. He says, the only thing I got out of this, basically, was that he thinks it's silly that Six-Pac won't be in NWA with Russo when Russo's not signing the checks.
He also kind of thought that um, Rowdy Piper shouldn't have mentioned Owen.
He didn't say, I don't know, he said some, I didn't think most
Something.
of it was that important because I don't think it'll ever come up again. I just wrote down what I thought was the only important thing. And I only thought it was important because I know we see Six-Pack again eventually. I just don't know how soon. It might not be soon at all, so it could be like none of this was important. Final match of the evening, match number 8. World Championship, Curt Hennig versus Jeff Jarrett. Opening is is a series of lockups and exchanging holds. Complete stalemate with some animosity. Some animosity between the two is obvious. There's definitely not friends between. There's not any friendship between these two at the time. We do finally break down into some brawling and striking. Jarrett taking a risk of a few chair shots on Hennig, one on the outside, because the risk being if he gets disqualified, he loses his belt under the current rules. We move back to the ring. Hennig gets in a good shot in Jarrett's leg and starts to work it over. Then puts him into quite a long Indian deathlock on his leg, which Jarrett does finally fight his way out of after a good minute and a half. After catapulting Hennig into the corner, Hennig seems to accidentally pull the turnbuckle pad off. I think he gets bumped. One of them gets bumped into it at one point, but I didn't actually see how that happened.
I didn't either.
I don't know if I just missed it or it was really quick. There's a ref bump. Jarrett goes out to the guitar, lifts it up, and puts it back down, basically saying, you see this? I'm not using this. So he goes back in the ring to try to hit the stroke on Hennig. Hennig fights out of it, and then when Hennig goes for a move, it may have been going for the perfect plex. I'm not absolutely certain. At that point, Russo appears, who we thought wasn't here tonight, and uses the guitar on Hennig, giving Jarrett the victory. After the match, Russo and Jarrett are face-to-face with each other, and then Styles jumps Jarrett. When the show goes off the air, Jarrett is dead. We are slowly getting my running gag.
Again.
Sort of. Okay, I know it's kind of just a quick boom, boom, boom through it today. I don't know, partly because you're not feeling great.
Sorry, people.
I feel like it was hard to really have much discussion on this. It was a pretty straightforward thing. I didn't have a lot of thoughts about it outside of this was fine, this was fine, this wasn't, and there really wasn't really that much of this wasn't. The show altogether was just fine.
There were some cool moves that they did. I know that Oodles and Noodles, I actually got to see him do that one move that he picked up on one time, done on Egomaniac. And there were some cool moves and all, but again, I'm not feeling well and I'm...
Feast or fired?
Well, Oodles and Noodles lost. So it's a fired.
I can't go just on that. I think it's an improvement from last week. Honestly, I'm going to go with a feast because I don't have really that much to complain about. I think anytime when I don't feel like anytime where I'm not complaining a bunch, I have to give it a feast.
Fair enough.
Well, otherwise I don't feel like I'm being fair to it.
Yeah.
Maybe if they are having a really good series of shows and it's a show that just felt bleh, even if it wasn't terrible, I might go fired. But right now I have to give it a feast.
Fair enough.
Alrighty. With that said, I don't think there's anything else we have to cover. We have one more show the remainder of this year, and then we will be back with this the beginning of next year for the January 8th show, I think is the first one.
I think so.
All right. As I said, I don't know if we're doing anything in addition or if we're just going to play catch-up, but we will see. If there is any special episodes, it might be, I don't know, a WWE pay-per-view or an ECW show or something, but I can't make promises. But until then, I hope you had a good time. Like, comment, and subscribe, and keep on wrestling.
Have a good night.